Welcome to this model. This video is all about attitude control. The attitude of the satellite refers to its orientation in space. Much of the equipment carried aboard a satellite is there for the purpose of controlling the attitude. Attitude control is necessary, for example, to ensure directional antennas point in the proper direction. In case the Earth's environmental satellites, the Earth sensing instruments must cover the required regions of the Earth, which also requires attitude control. A number of forces referred to as disturbance forces can alter the altitude. For example, the gravitational fields of Earth and the Moon, solar radiation, and meteorite impacts. And to exercise attitude control, there must be available some measure of the satellite orientation in space and of any tendency for this to shift. And attitude control must not be confused with station keeping, which is the term used for maintaining a satellite in its correct orbital position, although the two are closely related. In one method, infrared sensors such as horizon detectors are used to detect the rim of the Earth against the background of the space. With the use of 4 such sensors, one for each quadrant, the center of the Earth can be readily established as a reference point. Any shift in orientation is detected by one or other of the sensors, and a corresponding control signal is generated which activates a restoring torque. Usually, the attitude control process takes place aboard the satellite, but it is also possible for control signals to be transmitted from Earth based on attitude data obtained from the satellite. Also, when a shift in attitude is desired, an attitude maneuver is executed. The control signals needed to achieve this maneuver may be transmitted from the Earth station. Controlling torques may be generated in a number of ways. And one is passive attitude control, which refers to the use of mechanisms which stabilize the satellite without putting a drain on the satellite's energy supplies. At most, infrequent use is made of these supplies, for example, when thruster jets are impulsed to provide corrective torque. Example of passive attitude control are spin stabilization and gravity gradient stabilization. This gravity gradient stabilization depends on the interaction of the satellite with the gravitational fields of the external body and has been used, for example, in Radio Astronomy Explorer 2 satellites, and which was placed in the orbit around the Moon. For communication satellites, spin stabilization is often used. And the other form of the attitude control is active control. With active attitude control, there is no overall stabilizing torque present to resist the disturbance torques. Instead, corrective torques are applied as required in response to disturbance torques. Methods used to generate active control torques includes momentum wheels, electromagnetic coils, and Morse expulsion devices such as jets and ion thrusters. The electromagnetic coil works on the principle that the Earth's magnetic field exerts a torque on a current carrying coil and that this torque can be controlled through control of the current. However, the method is of use only for the satellites relatively close to the Earth. And now, the 3 axes which define the satellite's attitude are its roll, pitch, and yaw axis. And these are shown relative to the Earth, and all 3 axes pass through the center of the gravity of the satellite. For an equatorial orbit, the movement of the satellite about the roll axis moves the antenna footprint north and south. Movement about the pitch axis moves the footprint east and west, and the movement about the yaw axis rotates the antenna footprint. Now let us see how spinning satellite stabilization is achieved. Usually, the spin stabilization may be achieved with cylindrical satellites. The satellite is constructed so that it is mechanically balanced about one particular axis and is then set spinning around this axis. For geostationary satellites, the spin axis is adjusted to be parallel to the NS axis of the Earth, as you can see in the figure. Okay. This figure will show you the spinning satellite stabilization. For geostationary satellites, the spin axis is adjusted to be parallel to the NS axis, and spin rate is typically in the range of 50 to 100 revolutions per minute. Spin is initiated during the launch phase by means of small gas jets. In the absence of disturbance torques, the spinning satellite would maintain its correct attitude related to the Earth. Disturbance torques are generated in a number of ways, both external and internal to the satellite. The solar radiation, gravitational gradients, and the meteorite impacts are all examples of external forces which can give rise to disturbance torques. And motor bearing frictions and the movement of satellite elements such as antennas also can give rise to disturbance torques. The overall effect is that the spin rate will decrease and the direction of the angular spin axis will change. Impulse type thrusters or jets can be used to increase the spin rate again and to shift the axis back to its correct NS orientation. Nutation, which is a form of wobbling, can occur as a result of the disturbance torques and or from misalignment or unbalance of the control jets. This nutation must be damped out by means of energy absorbers called nutation dampers. Where an omnidirectional antenna is used, the antenna which points along the pitch axis also rotates with the satellite. Where a directional antenna is used, which is more common for communication satellites, the antenna must be despun, giving rise to dual spin construction. An electrical motor drive is used for despinning the antenna subsystems. And the antenna subsystems consist of parabolic reflector and feed horns mounted on the despun shelf, which also carries the communication repeaters, that is transponders. The antenna feeds can therefore be connected directly to the transponders without the need of radio frequency rotary joints, while the complete platform is despun. Of course, the control signals and power must be transferred to despun section and a mechanical bearing must be provided. The complete assembly for this is known as the bearing and power transfer assembly, that is BAPTA. And certain dual spin spacecraft obtain spin stabilization from a spinning flywheel rather than by spinning the satellite itself. These flywheels are called as momentum wheels, and their average momentum is referred to as momentum bias. So reaction wheels operate at zero momentum bias, and in the Intelsat series of satellites, the Intelsat 6 series spacecraft are spin stabilized, all other being 3-axis stabilized through the use of momentum wheels. Next, let us consider this momentum wheel stabilization. The gyroscopic effect of spinning satellite was shown to provide the stability for the satellite attitude. Stability can also be achieved by utilizing the gyroscopic effect of spinning wheel, and this approach is used in satellites with cube-like bodies, and for example Intelsat 5. These are known as body stabilized satellites, and the complete unit termed as momentum wheel, which consists of a flywheel, bearing assembly, the casing and the electric drive motor with associated electronic control circuitry. The flywheel is attached to the rotor, which consists of a permanent magnet providing the magnetic field for motor action. The stator of the motor is attached to the body of the satellite. Thus, the motor provides the coupling between the flywheel and the satellite structure. Speed and torque control of the motor is exercised through the currents fed to the stator. The housing for the momentum wheel is evacuated to protect the wheel from the adverse environmental effects, and the bearings have controlled lubrication that lasts over the lifetime of the satellite. Teldex manufacturers momentum wheels ranging in size of from 20, 26, 35, 50 and 60 centimeter in diameter that are used in a wide variety of satellites. The term momentum wheel is usually reserved for wheels that operate at a non-zero momentum. and this is a term which is called as momentum bias. Such a wheel provides the passive stabilization for yaw and roll axis when the axis of rotation of the wheel lies along pitch axis, as you can see in this figure. See here, the control about the pitch axis is achieved by changing the speed of the wheel. When a momentum wheel is operated with zero momentum bias, it is generally referred to as a reaction wheel. Reaction wheels are used in 3-axis stabilization system, and here the name suggests each axis is stabilized by a reaction wheel. Reaction wheels can also be combined with the momentum wheel to provide control needed. Random and cyclic disturbance torques tend to produce zero momentum on average. However, there will be some disturbance torques that cause the cumulative increase in wheel momentum, and eventually at some point the wheel saturates. In effect, it reaches its maximum allowable angular velocity and can no longer take any more momentum. Mass expulsion devices are then used to unload the wheel, that is, remove the momentum from it, in the same way a brake removes energy from a moving vehicle. Of course, the operation of the mass expulsion devices consume part of the satellite's fuel supply. So care must be taken. And the term momentum wheel is usually reserved for wheels that operate at non-zero momentum, and this is called as momentum bias. Such a wheel provides passive stabilization for the yaw and the roll axis when the axis of rotation of the wheel lies along the each pitch. And control about the pitch axis is achieved by changing the speed of the wheel. When a momentum wheel is operated with a zero momentum bias, it is generally referred to as a reaction wheel. Reaction wheels are also used in 3-axis stabilized systems, and each axis is stabilized by a reaction wheel, as you can see in the figure C. Okay, so reaction wheels can also be combined with the momentum wheel to provide the control needed. Random and cyclic disturbance torques tend to produce the zero momentum on average. However, there will always be some disturbance torques that cause the cumulative increase in wheel momentum, and eventually at some point the wheel saturates. So in effect, it reaches its maximum allowable angular velocity and can no longer take in any more momentum. Mass expulsion devices are then used to unload the wheel, that is to remove the momentum from it. The same way a brake removes energy from the moving vehicle. Of course, operation of the mass expulsion devices consume part of the satellite fuel supply. So care must be taken while using the mass expulsion devices. Thank you.